Good afternoon. My name is Scott Redler, Chief Strategic Officer at T3Lab.com. Today is Monday and first day of the week. Hopefully you had a nice weekend. We came in today. Futures were off. Within the first, 15, 20 minutes, lots of things went green. And today became one of those days of very specific stock trade / strategies. And thank goodness the VTF was on top of all of them, or a lot of them. I'm not trying to tout the horn of the VTF, but I think a lot of people had really good days. If you go to, if you're a member of Redler All Access, you could read some of the strategies. If you look at the charts posted, there were a lot of good ones. So first things first, let's just go to the indices. You check out right now where the spiders closed. So far, still hanging around. Spiders broke this upper level. Remember last week at this time, the oscillator was plus 75-ish on this day. Now we're back to neutral. So, so things have a little less pressure on it. We're not oversold and we're not in a compelling spot, but overall we held above the prior 2-day low. It did try and do like a push-through failure, but buyers came back. We're above the 21-day. We're above the breakout, and we have a few extra sessions going before the Fed on Wednesday, so who knows? All in all, not where the action was. But when the markets hang in there, that's when stocks could be on the move. So let me just show a few more indices before we move on. Same thing goes for tech. Here was your breakout. Here was, your descending channel, your retest, boom. Held the 8-day. We're still up here. Maybe today they wanted to give a false sense of security. All the bears are saying today, beware tomorrow. We'll see what happens. This is 3-day support now. Here is your resistance, so we'll see if we hang out another day before potentially going. We're hugging the 8-day, above the 21-day, still pretty healthy. Even the Russell that everyone points to if they're trying to be bearish, hanging around. You don't see it falling apart. Here's when the descending channel broke to the upside, came back in, went again, and now we're consolidating above the 8-day. That's pretty healthy, in my opinion, not falling apart yet. And then even the XHB, which has been a laggard group, that somewhat broke out here, came back, retested, did a little RDR today. So, some people went long a little bit of that. I actually nibbled a little there. If we're not all momentum junkies where you buy here for a move out. Sometimes you could buy a dip and continue to have a series of higher lows. But, that group hasn't been the place to be. So really, it was a very specific trade. It felt sleepy and quiet, maybe because cable went down and we had no TVs today, but it kind of felt nice. Early on, I posted a chart of Tesla because I figured one of these days it's holding in well, it's going to get going, and it went quick, and then it showed relative strength and continued. A day like today in Tesla is a day that active momentum traders love, okay? Look at where it was resistance-wise, showed a little relative strength on Friday, and blast off. You could have bought it below this pivot, which was 210, and then you could have bought it around 215, and it closed on the highs, and hopefully we get a little follow through tomorrow. If you go to your 5-minute chart, doesn't get much better than this. Okay, look how many trades you had here today. Here was your first move. It was fast, furious. You had to be on top of it. And maybe if you looked at the chart from this morning, you were on top of it. Quick move. Then it hit its peak, okay, right into resistance, came in, went sideways, held the top third of this range. Did it fall apart? Did it retrace? Did it do all the things that every bear in Tesla said it would do? No, okay? Went as high as here and pulled back not even to the 25, the 25% retracement. But I don't even know if I'm on the right one there, but whatever. Here was your re-entry, okay, or your entry if you missed this one. And then when it took out the morning high here, it gave you another entry, and then it went sideways and went again, and then PS, look where it closed. So pretty nice day in Tesla, I have to say. I got to give it to Sperling. I got to give it to guys in the chat room. It was a good find. And just for those of you, who follow T3 in bits and pieces, on the Twitter's feed, I posted the chart of the potential breakout in Tesla. But not always going to post my entries and exits because I trade real time. I can't list every long, every short, and timestamp things because I'm actually involved. I'm not saying whoever does that or any analysts, whatever they do, I'm in the trenches doing it. So that's why we created the virtual trading floor. So when I actually buy one of the strategies I talk about on one of the charts that we put on the front page, you see when I get long. And I think I got long Tesla right around 928, and it was green on the VTF all day. So what does that mean to someone on the VTF? Hopefully they know me long enough, they know the VTF long enough, and it gives them conviction to say, you know what, if Scott's still in Tesla, I'm going to still be in Tesla and maybe take a little bit more out of a trade than I'm used to taking or out of it. I'm going to listen to Mark, who's been talking about it. I'm going to look at the guys on the VTF that know it pretty well, and I'm going to stay there. And I still have it. So I come in flat Tesla, I buy it at 925-ish or whatever it was, boom. Okay, and then you could have used different tier systems based on the intraday charts, and you go back here. Who knows? There was really no news. You look here, unbelievable volume. You know, I think someone said, look at that size of that volume, that the reason this happened was because there's some news that all of the, like BMW and a few of the other electric car makers are going to start combining on charging stations, so Tesla's not going at it alone, and that would be huge for the entire industry. So maybe that's what it was. But overall, this is what you call a huge day one. Maybe it stole from tomorrow because of the size of today and it needs some time before it goes again, but overall looks good. You know, if you look at other high beta names, Amazon really didn't do much, but hung in there. Okay, this is when Goldman Sachs upgraded it, and then it came in. Now maybe all those guys who chased the upgrader out, and it can go again. Watch that. Apple had its first somewhat up day. People are asking me why I'm not involved yet. It's still not that compelling. You have your intermediate trend line, and then you have your accelerated trend line, which it's still somewhat below. It did poke its head above Friday's high. It looks okay. I'm just, you know, I traded it once or twice today. I still think it needs some time to reset up. Google was weak, I guess, on what happened with Yahoo. So it's at this point, it's on the radar, but it's not really an A setup. You still have this descending channel here. To be honest, if this was really that strong, I probably shouldn't have came back all the way to test this area. So I did not touch Google today. If you watched the VTF, you didn't see me try and buy it once because it showed no relative strength. So stayed away from it. So same way this broke out and retested, maybe this, you know, had to come up and retest, and it just needs time because, you know, Google, it's sometimes lethargic. Netflix looks pretty good, or really good. I know Sperling might have it green on the VTF. Here, it held again and still riding the 8-day moving average, consolidating big time above an enormous move from when we listed it off the charts here. And now the question is, can it break out and go? If tomorrow's an up day, yeah, I wouldn't want to be at least shorted because look how strong this thing's been. So moving on to social media, interesting. You know, Facebook was lower, went green, but it was really out of play. Still looks okay. Let me just take the volume out of here, remove volume because it makes my picture a little cuter. Still looks okay. You know, it gave us that nice breakout day and then had to get me out of it on the reversal. Still hanging strong. If you want to draw like a new trend, I saw someone on Twitter draw this and makes sense. You know, you have this now where it's still in this uptrend. It's still holding above this breakout. Yes, it came in a little bit further, but that's what, you know, Facebook does. It has a lot of people involved and it screws you up a little bit. So all in all, you know, maybe trade long versus this. Today, Twitter acted actually much better. You know, Twitter continues, you know, to close on the highs, in that gap, now above this moving average. And I know it's come a long way from the lows, but look where it came from on the highs. Still trending above the moving averages now. Every day there's some trades in there, so Twitter looks better. Yelp tested the gap and held. Okay, if you got out for a second because it went in the gap, hopefully you went right back involved in it because it only went in the gap by how many cents? 20 cents. So hopefully, or if you were looking for a way in when it went in the gap, came back up, you could have bought versus that 20 cents and still holding. And a lot of people are bashing the stock out there. All in all, if you accumulated it in this pattern here and had some options like Mark did, you were involved for this nice gap up. Unfortunately, guys like me were waiting for a nice juicy trade above here and didn't get it intraday. That's what happens in the market sometimes. Remember this day, this is the day that I tried it and got stopped out, and then the next day that happens. Is what it is. This WB, I guess, is kind of interesting. You know, came public, not in a great time for internet stocks. It is pretty tight here. Some guys in the chat were talking about a lot of activity in the $21 calls. So we'll see what happens. I got along a little bit at the end of the day. I tried to go here, couldn't. It's going to need some big volume, but we'll see what happens. Maybe just have a little bit just to keep it on the radar. What did JD do? JD, it's acting much better. This actually went straight up and Now it's, actually not a real setup there. Let's see some solar names. Anybody remember this name that we put on the Twitter sphere when I did the chart, I think last week? I don't know if I did it on Thursday, it could have been, talking about it being best in breed in solar land. And now look at the size of that breakout. Hopefully some of you guys have that still. Today in my note, I talked about FSLR, looking pretty good, maybe playing some catch up. And nice day one maybe, right? It just broke above this. So if it wants to continue, it can. It's not extended. And then even Solar City poked its head up and reclaimed the 200-day. I think there was some volume attached. So you go here, go volume, go OK. So you have some volume here. So maybe this tries to get going. Everyone was ranting and raving about this one up here. And then it broke this trend line, got most people out, and now it's done some sideways work. And it does look like it could continue. So that's something to maybe keep on the radar and see what's next. The banks have been kind of lethargic. Some people like Red Dog. I know you like BAC, and you had that decent trade a week or so ago. What would you go with now? If you had to look at the banks, I think Morgan is holding up best. Still above the 21-day, kind of at that last breakout. Didn't come in that much. Whereas you look at something like a BAC, probably came in too much. Okay, here is the chart that we had listed here, around 1530, and then boom, I got out of it, I think, on the rest of it on this day. And then that happened, and I'm not back in it. It's probably not the best vehicle with that and Citigroup. They just keep getting bashed by the government, restitution, whatever. So at this point, moving forward, it does look like Morgan looks a little bit better, and Wells Fargo, obviously best in breed, but had a bad day today. This one had new highs, broke the 8-day, so see what happens next there. So all in all, it's Monday. Hopefully your cable didn't go out and you've been able to watch the World Cup today. Nice day, very specific. Lots of trades to do if you had at least your plan laid out. Things happen fast. If you missed trade number 1, thank goodness there was actually trade 2 and trade 3. That's what happened, I think, a few months ago. You had trade 1, and if you missed it and you tried to get in on trade number 2, it failed and hurt. So it's good to see that at least if you missed the first move and you watch a new type of setup take place intraday like you saw with Tesla, you can get in and you don't have to be in early. You could wait for the actual confirmation, because right around, I would say 12:15 on Tesla, when the market came in and it held that 214, 215 area, it showed that, okay, it's actually really strong and it could have continuation. So those are signs you look for for entries and exits. And listen, it's mid-June. We still have, what, 2 weeks left, and then you have your half-year analysis on how well you did. I think the last month or two, there's been much better action, more at least conducive for my style and some of the guys on the floor. Hopefully that continues. We just worked off all the overbought condition from plus 73 to neutral. Doesn't mean the market's going to go nuts, but at least we have a better than average chance of playing stocks within the market if the market goes sideways like it did the last session or so. And Wednesday's, what's it called? Fed Day. We'll see what happens. Some are thinking the Fed's lazy and they might increase the reduction of the pace of purchase, because right now they're reducing $10 billion a month. Maybe they go 15, or maybe they don't do it this month, but they indicate maybe next month they do based on economic reports. But we still have another day before we have to worry about that. So with all that said, I hope you had a great day today. I will see you tomorrow morning. Brittany will be back. Thank goodness. I miss her. She hopefully had a great birthday weekend on the West Coast. And we'll catch you then. Bye-bye.